Hi, today we're here with Dean Penna, good friend of mine, and student this is Jonathan with tennisconsulting.net, an outside eye perspective for the parent, player, and coach. Just wanted to give a little bit of background with Dean. We've been working for the second year together. Like any student, there's positives and weaknesses of all students. To be great entails a lot of different qualities, so no one has it all. Dean's positives are he's very determined, very intense, very competitive. Some of the flaws, he had technical inefficiencies like we all have. He wasn't trusting his instincts enough, wasn't relaxed enough, and subsequently he was too mindful, conscious, and analytical. So we started working last year. The first priority last year was to create a holistic solution for improving on and off the court. It just couldn't come from doing the work on the court or doing the work off the court. Priority 2 was our technical changes. We worked on a lot of different things with the footwork and the stroke. A lot more turn on his shots. He was very restricted, wasn't getting enough looseness in his hips. Of course, you have to be free in your mind. The freer you are in your mind, the stronger you are, the more flexibility you have, the more looseness you have in your techniques. So it all goes hand in hand. Priority 3 was creating routines between the visualization exercises that we did, stretching program, the technical and physical exercises that we do before the practice, which we are going to do, and the in-between rallies, routines, and in-between point routines, which Dean knows about. And I'm sure Dean can comment on those in-between point routines that we talk about.
Oh yeah, very important.
Very important. No, but what we say about the how play with string, stretch, you know, we kind of make fun of it, but you're supposed to, you know, play with your string, stretch to stay in the subconscious mind. So it's not just learning how to relax during the shot. It's not just learning to relax off the court, but it's learning to relax within while you're playing. It's not like running. It's constant stop and start. So you have to constantly do the right routines. Okay. Priority 4. Be professional. Yeah. Priority 4 was doing a lot of repetitions, and that was the physical side. You know, Dean had to get a lot more strength, muscular, specific endurance-wise. That's what the repetitions do. Because no matter how technically well you hit the ball, if you can't repeat it, then you don't own it. And that's all part of the instinctive building. And that happens on the ground strokes, the serve, the volleys, all the shots. Priority 5 last year was practice matches. We got into a lot of practice matches. Dean started improving. He played with a lot of different characters around here, as he laughs. And then Dean left. He left for the summer. And that was the transition. You know, Dean didn't play as much as I would have instinctively liked, but I think part of it was he worked very, very hard, and so I think he might have been a touch burnt out, which we learned from. And this year we've kind of slowed it down. He's been playing like, you know, at a more of a instinctive pace, because part of it is because he owns his game more. He doesn't feel like, I gotta practice, I gotta do that, I gotta do that. You know, he's just doing it all the time, and he's doing it on his schedule. He doesn't feel that he has to overly do it. That's what happens with a lot of determined, you know, obsessed type players. They think they got to do this to be great. But now he's trusting his instincts more, which is a lot better, and it's helping with his game. So that's what we learned this past year. Year 2, which has been this past month or so, priority 1 has been to touch up on the techniques again, which we've been doing. We're working on loosening up the shots even more than last year. How do we do that? Well, when he's doing his dropbacks on his takebacks, as soon as he starts, he immediately loosens the wrist on both his shots. Lets go on the wrist, and that's loose hands. And then he breathes out through the shot. So those are some of the things that he does. But a big term that we constantly use is dichotomy, right? Dichotomy is a big term we use because it's not just being loose. That's not just what's going to make him get over the top to maximize his potential. He's got to simultaneously incorporate other qualities. He's got to be intense with his feet. He's got to use athleticism. So it's a dichotomy type of concept. There's no one set answer. Some players you see, they get relaxed and all of a sudden they stop moving their feet, and then they lose their intensity. So it's a constant work to put everything together. So we've really been working a lot on breathing techniques to loosen Dean up. And as part of that dichotomy concept, what we've been doing is doing the breathing with throughness at the same time. So instead of just when he hits, some people grunt. So I said, take a longer breath. And that takes care of the throughness as well, because we're working on the throughness, which is the athleticism of the shot, using more of his power muscles, the core muscles. Also setting up with his feet. That's all part of the dichotomy. We've been doing a lot of 8 to 10 ball drills using 6 to 75%, which we're going to do today. The reason for that is instead of like burning yourself out through the rallies, now he can last a lot longer. And within the 65 to 75% pace, we'll also step it up on some of the shots. So this way Dean can hit that 90% shot and go all out, but yet goes right back to looseness. And he's not burning himself out against players that he's good enough to beat, but he's losing because of physical reasons, because he's physically burning out with too much intensity. I've done it myself as well. When you're playing really loose players, they burn you out. So you're using too much energy. So we also do 5-ball pace drills as well, which is higher intensity, higher pace drills. That's about 80%. The reason we do that is because Dean has got to get ready for the next level. When he plays the next level up or next level, the guys that hit harder rhythm balls. And therefore he's got to have a higher rhythm pace. So we got to prepare him for the next level, even though we want him to play 65, 70%. As part of this, we're also working on the footwork, the different types of footwork, the different stances, the open stances, the closed stances, when to do what. So we got to incorporate that. We also have to incorporate strategic drills, which we're doing. The strategy drills is a philosophy known as the gatekeeper, where Dean's mostly playing to the person's backhand and opening up the court at the right time. So we'll be doing drills like that as well today. In order to execute the gatekeeper strategy to its fullest, we have to properly incorporate a good transition game. So he's using the short ball and taking advantage of the short ball, not just being a baseliner. The other main thing we've been working on this year so far is the serve. We really had to break down the serve. Last year, Dean was like, I'm not touching the serve. We had enough issues to work on. This year, we've been really zoned in on the serve, breaking it down, which we'll work on starting with the isolation first, so he feels the contact on the serve right above the head and feels that pronation. And this way he can hit the ball to specific targeted places, because the best serves are able to aim their serve wherever possible in the target. And they're also deceptive about it. That's what made Pete Sampras such a great server. Next, we started working on the throw. Dean was actually a natural thrower. So I said, Dean, in order to work on your take back, let me see your throw. Oh my God, the guy was throwing, he was teaching me how to throw. That's how good of a thrower he was. So then we incorporated the throwing with the isolation at the top. We've also been working on the turn, and how do you get a better turn in order to use your throw better? Well, you have to have a better tossing technique. Guys like Goran Ivanisevic and Leighton Hewitt, they've actually changed the way serving is nowadays in the modern serve, where they actually toss the ball to the side. So they go back, to the side and back, and then forward. And this way it gets more torque into the serve. Ironically, we're also trying to use a lot more torque in the ground strokes. So the goal is we're putting it all together, all the techniques, the emotions of the game, the routines, everything together to maximize Dean's tennis, and he's doing a great job. Let's hit it.